The Eagles just don't have a chance to beat Dallas this Sunday. They got a chance to bury them, to end their season, close the casket. Thanksgiving just got deadly. Yo, by the way, Kick Dick back here. So the Eagles got another NFC East matchup this week, and this one could be brutal to the Dallas Cowboys. And make no mistake about it, this game is much bigger to the Dallas Cowboys than the Eagles. Sure, you want to win every game, but the Eagles, where they're sitting, is in a lot better situation. Dallas is on their deathbed. They can't afford to lose any more games, let alone this game. And I'm not talking about for the division. I'm talking about their playoff lives. Okay, but if the Eagles win this game, then the Eagles go out, they beat the Bears on Black Friday, and Dallas was to lose to Kansas City, which is most likely on Thanksgiving Day, the Eagles would clinch the division. I have never remember a team clinching the division before December. Hard Knocks isn't going to like that because they're going to have nothing to talk about in the NFC East. But the Eagles, they got to take care of business. I know the bigger game, it awaits Black Friday when you play a first-place team. But right now, you got to take care of the Dallas Cowboys. And thankfully, the Eagles will have Kelly Green on, which is always a good sign. And Jalen Carter isn't missing this game. And having Jalen Carter and Jalen Phillips both for this game means Dallas is playing a completely different defensive line than they saw earlier in the season. Now, a lot of people are picking Dallas. It's amazing to me how many people, even Eagle fans, are picking Dallas because, let's face it, you would have thought the Eagles got destroyed by the Detroit Lions last week. By the way, the media has been talking this week about the Eagles. The Eagles will not be overlooking this game, I'm pretty sure. They will not be feeling that they're doing great and winning all these games. They're gonna feel the pressure of hearing the outside noise. And most times when this happens, Jalen Hurts goes off. He goes off. So I'm expecting a huge game, and we're going to talk about it in a second. But first, I do want to take a look at this injury report. All right, so when we look at the injury report for the Eagles, besides the Lane Johnson situation, it really looks pretty good, to be quite honest with you. Lane Johnson's foot, he is out. He's out. Hopefully, it'll just be 4 to 6 weeks, and he won't need surgery. But he's out. Miles Hinton back, full practice, questionable. Willie Lampkin, knee, ankle, full practice, questionable. Jalen Phillips, full practice. He's good to go. That's important. And then Cam Jurgens, concussion, full practice, and questionable. Sounds like Cam is going to play. And my only issue with Cam Jurgens playing is if you're hurt somewhere else and you're still injured and you're only 70%, then let somebody else play. I mean it, because I'd rather get him somewhat healthy by the playoffs and by the time it starts. But injury report looks pretty good for the Eagles. They should be good to go, and it's going to make for an interesting game. They got to get this offensive line going. So when you look at this game and you look at the offense of the Eagles versus the defense of the Dallas Cowboys, you would think this is really two bad units going against each other, right? The Eagles' offense has struggled. The Dallas Cowboys' defense has struggled. Now, Dallas has gotten some reinforcement. They've gotten some guys back. Quinnen Williams is now playing on the Cowboys after the trade from the Jets, and he looked pretty good versus the Raiders, by the way. To me, we're at the point with this offense where it doesn't even matter who they're playing defensively. They have continued to struggle in the same ways. Saying the Eagles need to go out and take advantage of this player here or this player here or this situation here. It doesn't seem to even matter because they continue to do the same things week in and week out in terms of the offense. Jalen Hurts has been getting absolutely killed by the media this week, where there have been reports saying that, players are frustrated with him and he goes basically rogue and doesn't do what he's supposed to be doing and guys aren't getting the ball in time and all these kind of things. All I could say is this. To me, it doesn't seem like it matters who's in front of you offensively. It seems like you're going to have to change some things up philosophical, okay? Now, I believe once the playoffs start, you're going to see the RPO game come in, and the Eagles are going to start to use it a lot more. Will they start using it in this game? I don't know, but they've got to figure a way to get this run game going. Okay, Lane Johnson is out. Fred Johnson is in. They were using, Fred Johnson as an extra blocker before Lane Johnson got injured. So who will they go ahead and do that with now? I think the key for the Eagles and this offense to get to the point where they're competent and they're moving the ball, they got to start running. They got to find the run game. They've got to find the run game. And what I would like to see the Eagles do, because I think you can run on Dallas, and I think you could throw on Dallas if you're competent, if you're doing the things you should. But the Eagles have struggled against teams, and it doesn't seem to matter if they were bad defensively or if they were good defensively. They have struggled, except for a few times. You look at that Minnesota game, they came out firing the ball. The Minnesota secondary at that point in time was considered to be really, really good, and they had no problem going through them. I would like to see the Eagles open it up a little more. I really would, but I don't think that's likely, and I don't think that's what's going to happen. So what I do hope to see the Eagles do is get this run game going. I'd like to see Tank run the ball more. I'm not saying he should get the majority of carries, but get him on the field, let him run more, see if that doesn't help. And, run Saquon different ways. Run some counters, run him outside. Don't be afraid to run him besides the inside zone run, which they like to do a lot. I'd like to see them run him in different ways. Of course, I'd like to see Hurts use play action, but not always at the same time. Like, the Eagles have a problem with tendencies. Like, teams know what their tendencies are of what they like to do and when. And they plan and they prepare for it. I'd like to see the Eagles change that up. The other thing I thought that worked really good with the Eagles was the up-tempo. If you look at the Eagles, most of the time they snap the ball, it's like under 4 seconds left. And they wait and then they snap the ball. I think that helps the defense, not help the offense. I would like to see the Eagles go a little more up-tempo, but they had the drive that they scored before the half versus the Lions. They were going up-tempo. They were snapping that ball 20 seconds left on the clock. I thought it worked really well. I would like to see them do that again, okay? And obviously, you want to see them get A.J. Brown going. Again, get Devontae Smith going. But we talk about this every week, and they never seem to do it. I don't think it's the players. I don't think it's A.J. Brown. And look, in A.J. Brown, everybody saw his press conference. They talked about it all day yesterday. Look, he looks like he's upset. He obviously looks upset. He looks down, and it looks like it's pulling teeth to get him to talk. But they got to figure a way to get him involved. They got to figure a way to get Devontae Smith involved. And we could talk about what do they need to do, mesh concepts, crossing patterns, all those kind of stuff. Yes, of course, but they don't do it every week. Every week they don't do it. So what are they going to do that works? That's the question. What can they do? And I think a couple simple things that could work and help them a lot is up-tempo, get Tank some carries, and try to go against your tendencies that teams seem to know what you're going to do. Now, the one thing I like is when Jalen Hurts is criticized, especially the way they've gotten killed this week. I mean, you got everybody picking against the Eagles. When that happens, Jalen Hurts seems to have his best games. I think Jalen Hurts is going to go out. I think he's going to have one of his best games. I think he's going to use his legs more than we've seen. I think he's going to throw the ball. And I think offensively, they're actually going to have a really good game. So I'm expecting big things from this week. But it's so frustrating talking about the same things that they should do when they don't do it. Can they just do a few simple things, like maybe cut down on your penalties so you don't keep screwing up drives when you are seemingly move the ball? Like, do some of those things and get it going. That would be nice. Now, defensively, the Eagles' defense has turned a corner. This is not the same defense that Dak Prescott and the Cowboys saw early in the year. Okay, Jalen Carter got kicked out of that game. He ain't getting kicked out of this game. So Dak Prescott better watch out, okay, because Jalen Carter's coming. But you also add Jalen Phillips, who has been unbelievable since being traded to the Eagles. Then on top of that, you add Nakobe Dean, who is back, who has been he's like a heat-seeking missile, man. He has been fantastic. So of course you're going to have to deal with Pickens. You're going to have to deal with deal with CeeDee Lamb. I like Quinyon and I like Cooper in that situation. I think both those guys can do a good job. And the question is how much will they put CD in the slot? How much will they put him on the outside to try to pair him up with Adoree Jackson? That's what Dallas is going to try to attack. They're going to try to attack Adoree Jackson when one of those receivers are being covered by him. But I think if the Eagles pass rush and the Eagles defensive line continue to dominate the way they have been, I think that they'll give Dallas problems. Now look, I'm not saying Dallas isn't going to score points, because they are. You're not playing in really bad weather, okay, which really negates a lot of the passing game for teams, which is why I like to tell and talk about, getting home field throughout the playoffs. But I think Dallas, I think they'll be able to move the ball at times. The question is, in the red zone, will they be able to score touchdowns? Dallas has struggled this year in the red zone scoring touchdowns. The Eagles have done a good job preventing them. So that is going to be a key as well. Listen, everybody's picking Dallas. The world is against the Eagles. It is happening. Even the Eagle fans are going against them. Everybody thinks the Eagles are done. They're about to have a collapse. And I don't think that's the case at all. Do we have problems? Yeah, we've got problems, especially offensively. And I don't know that we have the coaches or the offensive coordinator. I don't know that we have the guys that can fix it this year. But they can do things to make it competent, right? In the passing game, maybe up-tempo, like I said, give tank carries, and then go against tendencies that teams seem to always know. Teams talk about with the Eagles that they can jump their tendencies. That's what they do. So we need some creativity by this offense in this game. No need to panic. Go out there, play your game. You should win. I think the defense will do a good job. I think they'll continue to play well. At the end of the day, like I said, I got a feeling the Eagles, I got a feeling that offense is going to get going. It's Kelly Green. I think they go down there. I think it's a tough game for 3 quarters, and I think the Eagles end up winning this game. So I got the Eagles winning this game, actually, 28-20 over the Dallas Cowboys, basically ending their season. And then all the Cowboy fans that talked crap like Mark Holmes all week will all come to an end, and their season will be done. But for the Eagles, they're going to win this game. And they're going to win this game because, once again, they've been doubted like nobody else that I've ever seen who wins the amount of games that they do. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision, baby. We're all just living in it. Now, that one thing I forgot to mention, that Buccaneers-Rams game is a huge game as well, because whether the Eagles win or lose, if the Buccaneers beat the Rams, the Eagles would remain in the number 1 seed. But if the Eagles win and beat the Cowboys and the Rams lose, the Eagles would then have a little bit of breathing room in terms of being up 1.5 games on the Rams for the number 1 seed. Very important game. No doubt about it. Denzel Washington out.
24 to
because
6.
He's the champ.
24 to 6.
24 to 6 who?
Cowboys.
24 to 6 Cowboys. I'm writing this shit down for sure.
The emotional win.
24 to 6. All right.
This guy's on drugs.
Wait. Philly.
Dude, wipe that cocaine off the nose, Mark.
Hey.
That's all, folks.
The brother screwed us.